What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast. We are back to the regularly scheduled programming, daily episodes, all the way up until actually I don't know because we have something cooking in the lab, ladies and gentlemen. I will be partaking in an episode of one Tom Brady superfan versus 10 Tom Brady haters on the House of Highlights YouTube channel. And the recording for that will take place in December. So I don't know what the schedule will look like next week, but we're basically back to regular scheduled programming, and this thing's heading to the fucking moon, ladies and gentlemen. Week 13 of the NFL season is in the books. The last time I talked to you guys on this podcast, I gave you some Thanksgiving picks, and we went 3-1 on Thanksgiving, and we lost Black Friday. The Chicago Bears are good at football. We will get into all of that. We should probably just go chronologically. We will start. What was the first game? Packers, Lions, and like I predicted that game pretty much to a T. The Packers defense just matches up very well with this Lions offense. It obviously did help that Amon-Ra St. Brown goes down early. Shout out Jamison Williams for stepping up. He was gross. 7 for 144 and a touchdown. This Lions team just isn't the same team that it was a year ago. I do think part of that is what I alluded to, or a lot of people alluded to in the offseason, is that their interior offensive line is not going to be what it was last year. Frank Ragnow was going to come out of retirement, but he failed his physical. So their interior of their offensive line isn't what it was. Their offensive line in general isn't what it was, because outside of a few games here and there, I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery haven't been as productive as they were a season ago. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is the best running back in football. But Jared Goff also has been under way more pressure than he was a year ago. And obviously, you know how we feel about Jared Goff under pressure. He is a completely different quarterback. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at his stats from this year compared to last year in terms of the sacks. So he was sacked. Jared Goff was sacked 31 times in 2024. He's already been sacked 26 times in 2025. He's sacked 26 times through 12 games. The Lions' interior of their offensive line, which a lot of people thought would be a problem going into the season, has been a problem. Their run game has been nowhere near as efficient. Not to discredit anything about Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he's the best running back in football. But because their run game hasn't been as efficient, because Jared Goff has been under as much pressure as he has been, they haven't been able to get in their play action game. Amon-Ra St. Brown is having one of his most least productive seasons over the past 3 years, 2-3 years. Jamison Williams has taken a step since Dan Campbell has taken over play calling. But I don't know how you can trust this Detroit offense, especially Jared Goff, when he's playing teams in the NFC playoffs like the Eagles that since the trade deadline have a good pass rush. The Rams, who have a top 5 pass rush in the NFL. The Seahawks have a top 5 pass rush in the NFL. I don't know. The Packers have a top 5 pass. Like literally some elite pass rushers in the NFC. I don't know how you can trust this Lions team and this Lions offense in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. Currently third in the NFC North. I don't know how you can trust this Lions team to protect Jared Goff, and I don't know how you can trust Jared Goff when he doesn't have a clean pocket to throw out of, not to mention Amon-Ra St. Brown's injury. So I just don't think it's the Lions' year. They need to retool a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, particularly that offensive line. And as far as the Packers are concerned, I think they're the second best team in the NFC. We'll see this week. I'm not ready to put the Bears over them. Even though they did beat the Eagles did beat the Packers. The Bears just beat the Packers. I'm done ripping on the Bears. Listen, go to my TikTok, and I made a TikTok. I'm done ripping on Chicago. I don't know what you can possibly do to tear down anything the Chicago Bears team has done at this point in the season. They're 9-3. They started off 0-2. They've been unbelievable. They don't turn the ball over. They create more turnovers than everyone. But before the Black Friday game, I was thinking to myself, they played J.J. McCarthy twice. They played Spencer Rattler. They played Geno Smith. Yeah, their turnover numbers are going to be high. They were going into a game against Philadelphia. Going into that game, turned the ball over less than any team in the NFL. Literally the 32nd ranked team in terms of turnovers. and the Bears were still able to create a few turnovers, especially on Jalen Hurts, who doesn't put the ball in harm's way a whole lot. This Bears defense was responsible for Jalen Hurts playing one of the worst games I've seen him play in a very, very long time. And Ben Johnson just absolutely out-schemed Vic Fangio. They're just a damn good football team. And there's no more field goal posts that can be moved. Like, up until that game, I thought, okay, this is pretty fair logic. Their offense also hadn't played a top 10 defense up until that point. The Eagles were the first top 10 defense that they played this season statistically in terms of total yards. And they ran for 300 right down their throat. So this Bears team is legit. They can beat anybody on any given Sunday. I will say this, though. I don't think they're definitely, I don't want to say they're not 9-3 because of Caleb Williams, because he has been incredibly clutch. But this team isn't the number one seed in the NFC because Caleb Williams is playing at an elite number one overall pick. He's not playing at a ceiling, which is scary, because if he does get to that level, that we all thought Caleb Williams could get to when he was drafted as the number one overall pick, this Bears team is going to be very, very scary. And I don't think it's crazy to say that they could win their division at this point. Obviously, it's not the number one seed in the conference, but I still think, like, are they even the favorite? Are they betting favorite to win the division? I don't think so. Their offensive line, which I was skeptical about, one of the best units in football. They transformed that offensive line in 2 seasons. What's their right tackle? Is it Darnell Wright, I believe his name is? Sometimes when I'm talking, I get the tight end from Pittsburgh, Darnell. I think it's Darnell Washington from Pittsburgh and Darnell Wright. He's been unbelievable. One of the best tackles in football. Obviously, the additions, Jonah Jackson, the center from Atlanta. Forget his name, not Garrett Bradbury. What's the center? Whatever. You guys know they brought in a center. Joe Thuney, obviously, all-pro player. I was skeptical. I was like, Jonah Jackson coming off of a shoulder. Joe Thuney, obviously aging. The center. What's the center's name? I can't. Their center is gross. Drew Dahlman. I believe it's Drew Dahlman. That could be wrong. Left tackle still like a question mark for them. I'm not sure who's been playing there for the Bears, but Caleb Williams isn't pressured nearly as much as he was last year. And when he does, he's incredible at evading a sack. They have good weapons on the outside. And Monumbai and DeAndre Swift looks like a more than formidable 1-2 punch. This defense does, like, teams can move the ball on this Bears defense, but they create an uncanny amount of turnovers. So you got to tip your hat to this Bears team. They're a well-coached football team. They took care of the defending champs. They're unbelievable, man. As far as the Eagles are concerned, A.J. Brown did a lot of whining and complaining, a lot of passive aggressiveness through the media. Obviously, he was upset about his involvement in the offense. Well, over the last 2 games, A.J. Brown has had 100 yards. He has double-digit targets in 3 straight games. The Eagles' offense in that game, 16 points, 21 points, 15 points. The Bears are 1-3. So it seems like the Eagles' offense has made a conscious effort to get A.J. Brown the ball over the past 3 weeks. They've only eclipsed 20 points once, and it was against the Cowboys, 21-0 lead that they blew, and they're 1-2 in that stretch. A.J. Brown might be a locker room problem, might be a locker room cancer, obviously. I think that goes without saying at this point. That being said, let's not write off this Eagles team at all. As bad as Kevin Patullo has been, and he has been bad, Jalen Hurts has played one of the worst 2-game stretches in his career after that Cowboys first half. So really, like, game and a half stretch that I can remember in his career. I think the Eagles are going to be just fine. I still think they're a top 3 team in the NFC. Their roster is too good. They've really started to figure things out on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't know what happened against the Bears, where Ben Johnson was rushing. Ben Johnson and this offense was running for, 10 yards a carry? What was DeAndre Swift averaging in that game? It had to be close to 10 yards a carry. I'm not going to look it up, but it was unbelievable. Him and Monumbai just straight belt ass. So yeah, the Bears are good, man. And it's so funny. I posted TikTok talking about Chicago, and I'm apologizing to Bears fans. And then we got guys in the comments. They're legit. If they compete with the Packers, then they're legit. Like, bro, they just beat a team that beat the Packers. Like, at this point, you can't say they're not legit. But when you look at I feel like my logic was fine in saying that they were fraudulent until this game. Now I can't say that anymore. They just beat the Eagles in dominating fashion. But before that, they beat the Steelers by 1 possession. The Steelers stink. They beat the Vikings, the J.J. McDog shit, by 2 points. They beat the Giants, miraculous comeback. Jackson Dart also got hurt. They beat the Bengals, Colston Loveland touchdown. They lost to the Ravens without Lamar. They beat Spencer Rattler, who got benched at halftime. They did beat Marcus Mariota, but he fumbled the ball on 3rd and 2 when they were driving down the field. Like Jane Daniels gifted them that game a little bit. Like it's not like they forced a fumble. Jane Daniels literally dropped the ball on the handoff. They beat the Raiders with Geno Smith on a blocked field goal attempt. Then they beat the Cowboys, and that win looks better and better as the year goes on. So it's not like that was before the Cowboys defense had Quinn Williams. That was before the Cowboys secondary was healthy. That was before Savon Ravel was playing, and that guy has been a revelation to the Cowboys in the 3 weeks that he has been playing, completely transformed the secondary. Obviously, it helps getting Quinn Williams and Logan Wilson, but still, up until this Eagles game, they didn't play a top 10 defense. I don't think they played a top 10 quarterback outside of Jaden Daniels, and they did take care of Jaden Daniels by 1 point. But like I said, rain game, Jaden Daniels really fumbled, dropped the ball on the handoff, and he did have a bad interception in that game too, so credit the Bears. And then Dak Prescott. So, yeah, man, maybe I was just a little blind to it, but I don't think that's crazy to, like, going into that game to think, like, yeah, the Eagles are very good. They just they just blew a lead in a divisional game on the road. Or no, was that game at home? That game was at home too. Maybe I was just a little blind to the Bears. I was. I did not think they'd be this good. Obviously, when I had to take that they could pick first overall, that was a hot take. That was a hot take. It's not supposed to be like, okay, yeah, nobody thought the Bears would be this good. Literally nobody. So I don't want to hear it. They are a good football team. Like, you can't dispute that at this point. Do I think they could win the Super Bowl? Probably not. But this NFL season, it's just everything wide open. So you really never know. Chiefs, Cowboys. I think this Cowboys defense is better than just not like how do I phrase this properly? A lot of people are gonna think the Cowboys defense is getting better than it was. I think this Cowboys defense is actually pretty solid now. Not only did the Quinn Williams trade help this defense, obviously. Overshown comes back. Odigizua comes back. They get their safeties back in the back end. And then 3rd-round rookie, Savon Ravel, in his 3rd start, he has been unbelievable. He's going to line up at the line of scrimmage, press man coverage, something the Cowboys secondary has lacked for the past 5 years. I feel like they haven't had a guy that can be man-to-man or a guy that can be physical at the line of scrimmage. That's what Savon Ravel does. And obviously, it helps having good pressure on your defensive line. It makes the job easier for your defensive backs. But this Cowboys team held the Chiefs offense without points in the 2nd and 3rd quarter on Thanksgiving. And this Chiefs offense looked like it was about to go for 25. It was 25 in the first half. They scored on their first 2 possessions. Then they shut them out. Then Mahomes had to play some hero ball. And then when it really mattered, they were picking up first down. George Pickens is unbelievable. I had Steelers by Joey, friend of the program, sent me his wide receiver rankings. He had George Pickens as the 6th best receiver in the NFL. That's unbelievable, man. That is unbelievable. I understand George Pickens has been incredible. He's top 10. He's top 10 for sure. Production doesn't always equal where you should rank a player. Like the surrounding cast, and there's so many factors that go into a wide receiver's production outside of just the wide receiver's talent. And obviously, the wide receiver needs to be talented. But are you saying Drake London isn't producing as much or more in the same situation that George Pickens is in right now? I'd say he would. Same thing with a guy like Malik Neighbors, a guy like Garrett Wilson. Not to get into that conversation right now. A guy like Devontae Smith. That's the thing. Like, you throw some of these guys that Steelers by Joey had over George Pickens, which, like, George Pickens having a great year. Steelers by Joey, George Pickens guy. But he had 6. I'm like, he's not better than Devontae Adams. He's not. He's not better than Drake London. He's not better than Garrett Wilson. He's not better than Nico Collins. And then he'd be right in there 8, 9, 10 range, man. And he's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable. The yak has been the most impressive part for me. We didn't really see it that much in Pittsburgh because he wasn't getting the ball in open space. But you got to also understand a lot of the defensive game plan. Probably not anymore, but it was directed towards CeeDee Lamb. Like, would slow down CeeDee, gave way more opportunities for George Pickens to eat. He had a lot of one-on-one coverage against Justin Watson. Against the Chiefs, Trent McDuffie was also getting coked by CeeDee Lamb, whether it was a pass interference or a deep ball. Justin Watson's horrible. And George Pickens has just been slanting him to death, man. It's either play inside shade, get beat on an outside release go ball by GP, or play straight up on him, and he's just gonna cook you with the slant every time because him and Dak were on the same page. So George Pickens is unbelievable. Top 6 receiver. Fuck no. Here's what I'll say. These are my top. These are my receiver rankings. CeeDee Lamb is still the best receiver on that team. If you think otherwise, respectfully, you don't know ball. Respectfully, learn ball. Hit the follow button. But if you think Pickens is better than CeeDee, what are we talking about? Number 1 and number 2, still Jettas and Jamar. Jamar Chase is creeping in there. Puka Nacua, crazy catch today. He can creep in. He can creep in there. I still think it's Jettas and Jamar. We'll get into the Vikings quarter. Let's just talk about the Vikings quarterback situation. If you spike the ball every single play, your QBR will be around 39. J.J. McCarthy last week had a 36 passer rating. J.J. McCarthy had a 36 passer rating. Max Brosman today had a 34 passer. So Justin Jefferson is still elite. He's just an absolute quarterback in jail. And the only other quarterback he had this year was Carson Wentz. And he averaged 95 yards per game with Carson Wentz. It's not like Justin Jefferson's still that guy. Let's not overreact because having a down year statistically with some garbage QB play. Worst game of his career. I think he had 4 yards today on 2 catches. So Jettas is still 1, in my opinion. Jamar is 2. You can flip-flop those. I'm not mad at it. 3, 4, 5, not in order. I think you can argue the order. I would probably go Puka, JSN, and then CeeDee 5. And I think JSN and Puka is more debatable than CeeDee at this point. 6, I'm putting Devontae Adams. Realistically, I'm putting Garrett Wilson at 3, but that's just not going to go over well. We haven't seen the production from Garrett for him to be warranted to be put that high. And eventually, you're going to need to produce, but he's also had the worst quarterbacks. The only guy with, like Drake London had Kirk Cousins, and he had 1,300 yards. I think if you give Garrett Wilson a competent quarterback, he's a 1,400 guy. Garrett Wilson in JSN's shoes is, I don't want to say he's producing as much. He'd be pretty I think he'd be pretty fucking close, though. I really do. Like, JSN's a better route runner. At the catch point, it's at least equal, maybe slight edge to Garrett. Quite honest. And then after the catch, it's Garrett. So, like, when you break down the player, Garrett gets open, bro. He just needs a fucking quarterback. But Garrett did say at OSU, he's like, personally, I always thought Jackson to call this, man. That's Garrett Wilson. Shoot back. Right, let's get back to the regular schedule program. Chiefs, Cowboys. The Chiefs are dead. I think the Chiefs are dead. It's a real uphill battle here. Man. Like, the Texans aren't going anywhere. The Colts aren't going anywhere. The Jaguars are quietly at the top of the AFC South now. So there's 3 teams in the AFC South. And I don't trust the Jags at all in the playoffs, but they just keep them. They just keep on winning. I think you're going to get 2 from the West, 1 from the East. But you also know you're going to get 2 from the East, too. There's just 2. There's not enough. Like, the thing is, too, Bills, Jags, Chargers all have the head-to-head against Kansas City. So they're fucked. The Jags need to fall apart, and the Chiefs need to win out. That's really what it is. Because if the Chiefs win out, that's a loss for the Chargers, and I don't think the Chargers are that good. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like just because of the injuries on the offensive line, and I think the secondary is suspect as well. In LA, that's another conversation. So the Chiefs might be cooked. Patrick Mahomes still the best quarterback. Bengals, Ravens. The Ravens are also very fucking cooked. And I think the Bengals have a real chance to win the AFC North. They easily have the best quarterback in the division this year because Lamar Jackson looks like a shell of himself. He hasn't been as accurate throwing the football as we've seen over the last few years. A lot of overthrows from Lamar. He's obviously dealing with an injury. He hasn't been the same guy with his legs that we're accustomed to seeing, and that's obviously a huge part of his game. As far as Lamar Jackson has come as a passer, his legs are such a huge part of his game. He was getting sacked a lot more this year. Teams have maybe kind of figured out a way. And I mean, it all started with that Lions game on Monday Night Football, where the Lions beat the Ravens. The Ravens also have not beat a playoff team so far this year. But the Lions beat the Ravens, and they sacked Lamar Jackson a bunch. They weren't letting him get outside of the pocket. And I think that game, it put on tape for some of these teams how you can contain Lamar. Their run game also hasn't been that great. And Zay Flowers has been extremely underwhelming. They don't have reliable weapons on the outside that can win consistently. And for Lamar Jackson to stand in the pocket, he needs to be perfect. He hasn't been as accurate as he has been in previous seasons, especially over the last 2 games against the Jets. And the Bengals defense is not exactly the greatest defenses in football. So I don't know how you can be confident in this Ravens team. And looking at this Bengals schedule, and I'm a Joe Burrow guy. I think Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks pre-snap in football. I think he's the best pure pocket passer in the NFL. Look at this schedule. The Bills are not that good. The Ravens, they just beat them pretty handedly. Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. They could win out here. And if they do win out, that's a Ravens loss. I don't think anybody thinks the Steelers are legit. The Steelers are a screaming 9-8 football team. The Bengals have split with them. Not sure how the tiebreakers will work. The Steelers also still have to play the Ravens twice. I think the Bengals legitimately could win the AFC North. And if you let Joe Burrow into this playoffs in the AFC, that's currently wide open. Look at one game at a time for Bengals fans. But I do think there is a real possibility. And you just look back to those back-to-back games against the Jets and the Bears that the Bengals just absolutely choked. The offense scored 33 and 42 with Joe Flacco, and they lost those 2 games. That's going to come back to bite the Bengals. But I think they could really be poised to go on a little bit of a run here. And I was very impressed with Joe Burrow. I will be starting him over Jalen Hurts in my fantasy league going forward. I didn't think we'd be getting Joe Burrow back this soon, but we do. I traded for Jalen Hurts. Still a good move. Got me a few W's. We're in a must-win situation next week. Joe Burrow against the Bills. I think him and Josh, maybe a little bit of a shootout going on here. And I will be starting Joe Burrow. I'm on pace, Chad. I don't want to jinx it. I'm on pace to make the playoffs in every single redraft. I'm in the playoffs in one of them, just one in the first round. And I'm on pace. There's one of them that's really shaky. I need to win next week, and I need some other things to happen. But in the rest of them, I control my own destiny. And that's all you can ask. That's all you can ask for. All right, let's look at the rest of the Sunday slate now. How about the New York Jets picking up a big W at home? Nick Folk with the most ridiculous game-winning 50-plus yard field goal I've ever seen. Straight piss missile right above 3 feet, it looked like, above the upright. Absolute electricity. And you know what I love about this Jets front office is that they're like, okay, we're just going to roll with Tyrod Taylor the rest of the way, not only to see what we have in A.D. Mitchell, who had 100 yards and a touchdown, see what we have in John Mechie, who has a couple of touchdowns in 2 of the last 3 weeks since Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. Well, not really Justin Fields, because Justin Fields took over against the Patriots. Mechie had a good game against them. Either way, the Jets going to Tyrod Taylor was huge for these young playmakers in New York. I'm talking A.D. Mitchell, who had 100 yards and a touchdown. John Mechie, who has shown flashes a lot so far over 2 of the last 3 weeks, didn't have the greatest game against the Falcons. Mason Taylor, not only does it give the Jets front office a real chance to evaluate these guys, because let's be honest, the passing game with Tyrod Taylor, the offense in general, just runs so much better with Tyrod Taylor than it does with Justin Fields. But it also gives these young guys, even Breece Hall, too, who's still looking for a second contract. I think the Jets are going to offer him. It gives these young guys a chance to get more comfortable in this Tanner Engerstrand offense with a league average quarterback. If they have Justin Fields running the offense, which he barely did, you don't see how the offense is supposed to run. Therefore, you're not getting like those plus reps that you need in the offense, where we can go in the next offseason if we plug in a quarterback, or if we roll with Tyrod again, or if we bring in a Brissett or a Mariota, or we bring in a bridge QB, or if we take a rookie quarterback. We have playmakers that are comfortable in the offense. That just makes it so much easier for the next guy that will be leading the offense. So I think it was a good move, smart move by this Jets front office. And I've been very impressed with Darren Moogie. And I've been a little bit impressed with Aaron Glenn. This team shows fight. They show no quit. And they aren't committing as many penalties as they were early on in the season. They're not turning the ball over the way they were early on in the season. They are always in the plus in EPA on special teams every single week. I'm not bought in with Aaron Glenn, but all these Jets fans that were calling for this guy's head after 8 weeks is just unbelievable. And I'm a fan of what Moogie has done as well. His first draft is panning out to be a good one. Armand Membu looks like an absolute stud at the right tackle position. A.Z. Thomas, not so much. The corner that they drafted, Mason Taylor, looking like he's going to be a serviceable tight end at least in this league, at least a starter. The Sauce Gardner trade, not only did they pick up 2 first-round picks, but they get a guy in A.D. Mitchell who consistently separates. Like, he's a good receiver. And I understand separation stats by PFF are not the most reliable, but watching the guy play now over the past 2 weeks, he gets open and just has bricks for hands. Wasn't the case today. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown against one of the best pass defenses in football. So I like what the Jets have done in terms of getting these young guys acclimated in the offense. And with Tyrod, it gives you a chance to evaluate what you really have. And they're not rolling over and dying. They're just going to keep playing every week. And I don't mind that at all. I really don't mind that at all. I don't think the Jets should go quarterback in this draft, but that remains to be seen with Fernando Mendoza matching up against this Ohio State defense. It's just every time Fernando Mendoza opens his mouth, I'm like, this guy kind of sounds like a fucking pussy. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. The guy sounds like a cornball. I don't know how that guy rallies the troops, but apparently he does. He can spin it as well. He obviously has the arm strength, the size. But if his ceiling is Jared Goff, I don't want him. Like, I don't. If his ceiling is Jared Goff, I do not fucking want him. He doesn't have the mobility, the arm angles, the real arm talent to be an elite quarterback at this level. His ceiling is Jared Goff. Like, you need a guy like a Mahomes. Like, who's the last quarterback to win a Super Bowl that wasn't at least a threat with his legs? I guess Matthew Stafford, to be fair. Is this guy going to be Matthew Stafford? No, because Matthew Stafford was one of the most elite arm talent prospects. We've seen one of the most elite arm talent guys in the NFL. So I don't think Mendoza is that. Like, who's the last guy to win a Super Bowl that wasn't mobile or didn't have crazy arm talent? Trying to think, like Tom Brady, literally. Tom Brady wasn't mobile, not crazy arm talent, just an absolute game manager and elite pocket maneuverability. Like, Tom Brady wasn't mobile, but his footwork and maneuverability in the pocket is unbelievable. I'm telling you guys, people think I'm crazy when I say Joe Burrow is Tom Brady 2.0. Their play styles are identical. Go watch Joe Burrow, the way he maneuvers in the pocket with his footwork, and go watch Tom Brady side by side. It's literally identical. Both of them have strong arms. Both of them are pinpoint accurate. Both of them are assassins pre-snap. It's just Joe Burrow has the worst defenses in football. Tom Brady never won a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense. So I think that you can see the correlation. Okay. So shout out to Jets, 49ers, and Browns. I've never seen more goalpost moving than Shedeur Sanders fans do for Shedeur Sanders. And it makes me sound like a hater. I'm a Shedeur Sanders guy. But more importantly, I'm a Cam Ward guy. And Cam Ward loves Shedeur Sanders. I want Cam Ward to be happy. Shedeur Sanders playing good makes me happy. So I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. I just don't see what everybody else sees. Or maybe maybe these people are just delusional. They're just delusional. Like, I don't see it. I don't see it with Shedeur Sanders. I never did. I never did. If you listen to this podcast back when we had 5 listeners in April and we're going through the draft process, you know I never saw it with Shedeur Sanders. I still don't see it with Shedeur Sanders. This loss wasn't entirely his fault. Obviously, he wasn't great. He airmailed a wide open Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch too much of this game, but the Browns were getting the ball back. They fumbled a punt or a kick return, whatever it was, and the Niners got the ball and they made the pay. The Niners are sneaky here, chat. The Niners are quiet. 9-4. Without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, George Kittle missed time, Brock Purdy missed time. They're in the midst of a 3-game win streak, but it is the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Browns. They have the Titans, the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks at the end of the season. We're looking at an 11-win San Francisco 49ers team that nobody is talking about. Nobody is talking about. I don't know how I feel about the 49ers. We will get into them later on in the week before I have a full opinion. But they're a team that is getting completely overlooked right now. One of the best offenses in football as well when fully healthy. Christian McCaffrey having a quiet offensive player of the year type of season as well. Not getting mentioned. Not getting mentioned. Hashtag noticing. I'm noticing the Niners are 9-4. Let's look at some of the good teams they've played. They lost to the Rams. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Bucks. They beat the Rams. They beat that Thursday night football game was crazy too. Overtime, Sean McVay ran 4th and 1 halfback dive with Kyron Williams in OT. Mac Jones masterclass. They lost to the Jags. They beat the Seahawks. They don't really have the greatest wins. Like, it seems like against playoff teams for the most part. They have the win against the Rams and the Seahawks. They play the Seahawks. Yeah, so like I'm not sold on the Niners team, but I think they're definitely good on paper. They're dealing with a ridiculous amount of injuries, and they're still 9-4. I'd never count out Shanahan. So do I trust this team in the NFC playoff? Probably not, but that remains to be seen. Jags, Titans. The Jags are also quietly 8-4, man. Like, Trevor Lawrence, not sold. Didn't watch too much of this game. Honestly, I'm not going to dive in. I'm not going to do it. Texans, Colts. Let's talk about the Houston fucking Texans, ladies and gentlemen. I have a hot take on the Texans. We'll save it for tomorrow, though. But CJ Stroud, after he threw that interception to Cam Bynum, right when they got the ball back, off it was a turnover or fumble. I think it was turnover on down, whatever it was. After that interception, bad interception, CJ Stroud looked absolutely locked in. And this young, they're not all young on the offensive line for Houston, but they've been playing much better ball recently. Like CJ Stroud looks way more comfortable in the pocket. Nico Collins has been getting more involved in the offense, and I think the offensive coordinator, the name's evading me right now, I think he's getting more comfortable calling plays with this group of with the personnel. Woody Marks and Nick Chubb is a formidable 1-2 punch. I've loved what I've seen out of Woody Marks, hard physical runner, really wears down on you, and they get into the play action. And after that interception, it's almost like he needed to throw that interception to kind of just, okay, I'm just going to let it rip. Because obviously you come this week, Davis Mills 3-0 as a starter. That's got to be a little bit mentally for a starting quarterback. I got the backups 3-0. I got to prove something here. You have divisional rival, second best team in the AFC in their house. And then CJ Stroud, after the interception, plays pretty solid ball, man. Pretty solid ball. They're very efficient on third down. He was very accurate with the football for the most part. I was very impressed with CJ's resolve after the interception. And you guys know I am a CJ Stroud guy. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in football. Nico Collins, also a good day, and they contained Jonathan Taylor. Most of it, like his biggest play came on a screen, but on the ground, I feel like they contained him for the most part. It helps that they're playing with a lead. Daniel Jones also had some ridiculous throws in this game. The touchdown to Alec Pierce was nasty. One of the best throws I've seen literally all season was on the sideline to Josh Downs. Absolute fucking dot. Absolute dot. There was a pass interference called on the Colts. I think it was on a third down that did bail out the Texans a little bit. So I understand why Colts fans can be a little bit mad. But you scored 16 points against the best defense in football. They had a few turnovers on downs. This defense, like the Texans defense, gives up a big play, short memory. They're right back to being that gritty group, and they are just unbelievable. They're relentless. They fly around the field. They're the best defense in football. And when you look at the AFC, you look at the teams that have the best rosters in the AFC, not the best quarterbacks, the teams with the best rosters. The Broncos, the Colts. I don't want to say the Patriots because their offensive line sucks. Defensively, the Patriots roster is pretty good. You look at those teams, and I've been saying this, the only one that I trust in the playoffs out of all those quarterbacks, which I do trust Drake making the playoffs as much as that makes me want to put a bullet in my brain. CJ Stroud is the only one with some playoff XP, and he's played good in the playoffs too. Minus that Ravens game 2 years ago as a rookie, played good against the Browns in his first playoff start. Played good last year against the Chargers. Had that end of the second half scramble drill, extends the play, finds CJ Stroud, changed all the momentum in that game. Does help when Justin Herbert also gives the Texans 3 possessions. Played pretty good against the Chiefs in the divisional round as well. Wouldn't say they lost that game because of CJ. So I like CJ Stroud. One out of the teams with the best rosters in the AFC, CJ Stroud is the quarterback I would trust the most. Obviously, I'm trusting Lamar or Josh more. I don't trust Lamar right now and this Ravens offense. I like Josh. Josh is a beast. A playoff riser, obviously, different animal. So that could be a little bit concerning. But I think the Texans are a very scary team. I would not want to see the Texans if I'm the Patriots. That's for sure. Saints Dolphins. Tyler Shuck, bad interception. Bad interception. Hurts the Tyler Shuck agenda. They almost came back, got the onside kick, didn't quite go nowhere. Both teams suck. Yeah, I don't know. Tua Tagovailoa career high interceptions. He's not the guy. Mike McDaniel's not the guy. Their defense is soft. Devon Chan is an absolute stud, though. I think he's a top 5 running back. Quickly, top 5 running backs off the top of my dome. 5, Devon Chan. 4, James Cook. 3, CMC. 2, Bijan. Okay, so James Cook's out of there. Chan 5. Yo, this is gonna get it. People are not gonna like this. JT 4, Bijan 3, CMC 2, Gibbs 1. Fuck JT. No, it's not fuck JT. I think I have a bad taste in my mouth about Jonathan Taylor just because I saw a few people compare his MVP season to Adrian Peterson's, and I hold that Adrian Peterson MVP season very close in my heart. That was if that was me as a what was I, 12 years old? I was 10 years old when that happened. That was just peak, man. Like I'll never be like, that was pure. That was my favorite player. My favorite player. He was unbelievable. So I will not tolerate any Adrian Peterson type of slander, any type of comparison to Adrian Peterson out of any of these running backs. Derrick Henry is the only exception. He's the only guy that has carried a team for an elongated, for a long amount of time. Like, we see, like, these running backs will carry a team for one game here and there. Derrick Henry carried the Titans for 3 fucking seasons. Adrian Peterson, like, Derrick Henry carried a team as a running back to an AFC Championship game. Adrian Peterson carried the 32nd ranked passing attack and a bottom half of the league defense to the playoffs when their quarterback was Christian Ponder. The leading receiver on that team didn't have 700 yards, and he was 13 yards shy of the rushing record in a 16-game format. 16-game season. It was the single greatest rushing season I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes. So I will not tolerate any type of Adrian Peterson comparison unless it's Derrick Henry. And what Jonathan Taylor is doing is nowhere close to what Adrian Peterson did, because the Colts also have a top 5 passing game in terms of yards per game. This season, they have the top 15 defense, top half of the league defense. And Jonathan Taylor was on pace to break the record. He's not anymore. Either record, touchdowns or rushing yards, and he's had one more game to do it. Saquon Barkley didn't carry the Eagles the way Adrian Peterson carried the Vikings last year. Saquon Barkley was incredible. Eagles also had a top 10 defense. Eagles also had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Best offensive line in football. Sorry for the Adrian Peterson rant. That guy's the fucking greatest running back of all time that I've seen with my own two eyes. Him and Prime Henry, man. And then CMC is probably third as of right now. Because CMC is just, the longevity of CMC. He gets the injury prone conversation, but the longevity has also been pretty impressive. He had 1,000. What? When was that? I want to say 2019 with the Panthers. Here he is now. Was he top 10 league in receiving yards? Going to have 1,000 rushing yards as well. He's a fucking problem. And he was that Niners offense too. He did carry, but he didn't do it for a whole fucking season the way that Derrick Henry. Like, if Derrick Henry didn't go off, the Titans lost. If Adrian Peterson didn't go off, the Vikings lost. That's the difference. I don't know how he ended up here. Bucks, Cardinals. Honestly, the least watched game of the day for me. Jacoby Brissett, 300 yards. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about this team. The Bucks are a very interesting team. They start out 4-0. Every time I look at this game, or not every time, but I feel like Baker Mayfield airmails Emeka Egbuka are ridiculous. Oh my God, I do remember this game a little bit now. Chris Godwin back, dropped the touchdown. That sucked, but he looked good today. Getting Chris Godwin back is going to be huge for this offense, and Bucky Irving was incredible too as well. He had one of the greatest 5-yard carries I've ever seen in my entire life. Bucky Irving has the ability to juke not just one player, but the entire defense will be going in one direction. Bucky Irving will make one cut, break 5 guys' ankles, and then get upfield, make another guy miss. He's just impossible to tackle. I actually scratched that. Bucky Irving better than Von Chan. Argue with a fucking... I can't do that. But I fucking love me some Bucky Irving, chat. I love me some Bucky Irving. He's incredible. He's back. That's good for this offense. But the Bucks also are a team that, against some good competition, have not been the greatest, man. They have not been the greatest. Lost to the Rams, Bills, Patriots. Lost to the Lions. They did beat the Niners and the Seahawks. That Seahawks win is especially impressive, where Baker Mayfield went off, hung 30 on their heads in Seattle. Very impressive win there. They did beat the Texans early on in the season as well. But yeah, like some of the, like this little skid that they went on here, we'll see how they end the season. They play the Panthers twice. That'll be for the division. The Panthers are knocking, and that's a good segue. I mean, the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young, I think he's the guy now. Bryce Young's been the most volatile player for me all season long. I think we can confidently say that he is the guy in Carolina at this point. He's unbelievable. What did he have today statistically? Let me bring it up real quick. He had 2 touchdowns on 4th down, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Unbelievable. They were leaning on the run game a lot, keeping this Rams offense off the field. And then the Rams had 2 turnovers in the red zone. Obviously, I don't know if the fumble was in the red zone. I'm pretty sure it was. But Stafford, Derek Brown made a nice play, stripping Stafford. Got to have two hands on the football. Obviously, the pick six was bad by Stafford, and then the other interception, he threw it right off. I think it was Derek Brown's helmet again. So Stafford making a bad case for his MVP. Drake May's MVP stock is up. Patriots fans are happy. I think the Rams are still the best team in the NFC, though. Let's look at their schedule coming up, though. I really do. I think this Panthers team is scrappy. They're a tough out. The only way into the playoffs is if they win the division, like currently looking at the NFC North and the NFC West. I don't think they're better. They're going to win as many games as the Niners, the Seahawks, the Bears, the Packers, or even the Lions will. So I think the only way you get in the South is if you beat out the Bucs. I think that's more than possible because they do play the Buccaneers two more times as well. Looking at this Rams schedule, who are their losses? They lost to the Niners. Okay, yeah, that was the Thursday Night Football game. They lost to the Eagles on the blocked field goal. That's right. And they just lost to the Panthers. So they've lost to three teams that are above 500. It's not like they're losing to bad teams. And I thought Sean McVay in his post-game interview was like, yeah, we didn't come out here trying to like play down the Panthers or like play down to them. We came out there expecting a fight. And I think that's true, man. They came after them a little bit. They were aggressive in their play calling. Devontae Adams is obviously unguardable. It's just the Panthers created 3 turnovers, and Matthew Stafford lost that game for the Rams. That's really what happened. But they have the Cardinals. I think that's a W, but it's in Arizona. Divisional game could be tricky. Lions at Seattle again for a good rematch. And keep in mind, Sam Darnold did throw 4 interceptions in that game, but the Rams only beat them by 2 points. Like the Seattle defense shut down this Rams offense in the second half. So that the Cardinals, the Lions, I don't trust this Lions team. Plus, this Rams pass rush is very good. I remember Jared Verse left this game with an injury, so hopefully he's okay. But I like the Rams over the Lions. At Seattle, at Atlanta, and then Arizona again. So I think they're going to probably win 4 of the last 5, and I think they could be situated up to snag that number 1 seed. The Bears do have to play the Packers twice. And who else do the Bears play? Who currently have the 1 seed? So maybe Packers or Rams are the 2 best teams in the NFC right now, in my opinion. If the Bears beat the Packers, then you got to skip it. If the Bears play the Packers, the Niners, the Lions, and the Browns, none of those games are easy wins. I think they'll split with the Packers. I think they'll lose to the Niners and the Lions, and I think they'll beat the Browns. But the Browns are no easy out either, even though Shedeur Sanders stinks. So yeah. Rest of the games, Bills, Steelers. James Cook carry Josh Allen again. What do you know? Steelers defense is fucking garbage. Like the Steelers defense is just not good. Aaron Rodgers stinks. Mason Rudolph stinks. The Steelers stink. They traded George Pickens for a 3rd-round pick. They need to clean house. They need to full reset. I think they will after the season. They should honestly do that now so they can lose out and have a chance of getting one of these rookie quarterbacks or just tank next year. Signing TJ Watt to that extension makes 0 sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers front office is the worst in the NFL. They need to clean house. Tomlin needs to go. They were fired Tomlin chance at Acrisure Stadium. Omar Khan is one of the worst general managers in football. He gave TJ Watt a ridiculous contract after TJ Watt had a career low in sacks, career low in pass rush win rate, obviously showing signs of regression. He paid Darius Slay $10 million to be a healthy scratch by week 15. He traded for Jalen Ramsey for him not to play corner, but to play safety. He hasn't really hit on too many draft picks at a real elite level. Like Nate Herbig's been good. Like he's found value in the later rounds. He hasn't been a bad drafter, but his roster management has been unbelievable. He traded George Pickens, who's second in the league in receiving yards and touchdowns, for a 3rd-round pick. Omar Khan is not the answer. He chose to go all in with an aging defense. The highest paid defense in the league is allowing like 25 points per game. Bottom half of the league in yards allowed per game. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. But Steelers fans who are still deluded and think that Omar Khan is the guy will talk about how he traded Chase Claypool for Joey Porter Jr., who I like to call Joey Mitter Jr., because that guy's about as league average of a corner as it gets. Their secondary stinks. Their pass rush likes to take games off. It just doesn't show up every week, which makes 0 sense when you have guys like Highsmith, Derek Harmon. Shout out Derek Harmon, who has been an underrated defensive tackle, rookie tackle for them. Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, Nate Herbig. You should be able to pressure the quarterback and have an impact every single week. That's just not the case. Not the case. Aaron Rodgers stinks. Omar Khan is allergic to addressing the wide receiver 2 position. Instead, he traded for Jonnu Smith, and he gave Pat Freiermuth an extension, and he drafted a 6'8", 350-pound tight end, Darnell Washington. Aaron Rodgers stinks. Omar Khan stinks. The Steelers will probably win 9 games, And with the way the AFC North is currently panning out, they might stumble in to an AFC North title and then lose in the first round. But Omar Khan isn't the answer. He's got to go. Chargers, Raiders. Chargers put belt to ass. Broncos, Commanders. Oh, and Seahawks, Vikings. We talked about it earlier. Brosmer fucking sucks. The Vikings stink. Ultimate fumble. Sam Darnold also not that great today. He needs to play. He can't play like that. He has these games like this where he just fucking sucks. And he sees ghosts again. That can't happen. Broncos, Commanders. Bo Nix is the most volatile quarterback in the NFL right now. I really think so. Because he'll make throws like that touchdown pass to Courtland Sutton, and then he'll come out of the next drive and throw that interception to Bobby Wagner. This Broncos offense should have iced the game at the end of the third quarter. They just couldn't. They kept giving Marcus Mariota opportunities, and he delivered. Marcus Mariota played out of his mind. I respect the Commanders for going for 2 at the end of the game, going for the win. But this Broncos offense can't play the way they did against the 3-win Washington Commanders in the AFC playoffs when you have to play quarterbacks like Josh Allen, quarterbacks like Drake May, quarterbacks like either Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. When you have to play a Texans defense, if Bo Nix plays the way he did against the 3-win Commanders, who have the worst pass defense in football on Sunday Night Football, the way he's played all season long, where this offense takes 2 quarters to finally get going, this Broncos team is looking at an early exit in the AFC play. Bo Nix needs to be more consistent for 4 quarters, play a full game, and stop winning these one-possession games against teams that are 4 wins below 500. Like, that's the thing. Can the Broncos just go out and dominate a team from start to finish the way we've seen the Colts do it, the way we've seen the Patriots do it, the way we've seen the Bills do it? We need to see that. We haven't, really. Cowboys game. But, we haven't. That concerns me about the Broncos heading into the playoffs. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Before I go, this episode is brought to you by SharpHunter.app. Go use code FIRE50 on SharpHunter for 1 week free trial into our AI chatbot. We have Giants at Patriots, Monday Night Football. The best bet for this game is the Giants plus 7.5. And I know this because of the SharpHunter chatbot. Just type in what's the best play for Monday Night Football. They'll give you the best bets. And SharpHunter chatbot is telling me sharp money is on the Giants to cover this line. The public is on the Patriots. The weakness of this Giants defense is their run defense, allowing 5.9 yards per carry. But the Patriots aren't the greatest at running the football either. They're just averaging 3.9 yards per carry. I think they'll be able to run the ball efficiently. But this Patriots offensive line was the worst in the NFL before Will Campbell's injury. He's on IR now. You have Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, who's Defensive Player of the Year sleeping, but he's just on the Giants, so he won't win it, obviously. He's been unbelievable. I think they'll be able to get after Drake May, and Jackson Dart has been unbelievable in the games that he has started. He's an instant upgrade from Jameis Winston, not just what he can do protecting the football compared to what Jameis can do, but what he can do with his legs on the ground as well. He has great pocket presence, and Christian Gonzalez has been getting beat a lot these past few weeks there. Wan'Dale Robinson has flashed a lot. I like the Giants to cover. I like them a little bit on the money line. Use code FIRE50 on SharpHunter for a 1 week free trial to use their chat bot. And they're all over the Giants plus 7.5. That's where the sharp money is, according to the SharpHunter chat bot. So use code FIRE50. Thank you very much. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast.